here I am with my flashlight and you can't see anything. Let me show you when I'm turning my lights on. Lights on. So are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Man, this is madness. It's like 1, 2, 3, done. Like a magic. Well, not that quick. Watch the video to save time. I actually wasted the half of my day painting, creating different spacers in order to raise this LED bar to get it up high. Whew. It's been a long day. And if you don't want to waste your time installing one of those, watch this video, shall we? Today I didn't have a chance to kind of spend the entire day. Right now it's almost 5 o'clock. I have about 2 hours of the daytime, daylight. So while I'm talking to you, I'm climbing the roof. And what can you possibly get done in like less than 2 hours? Well, you can set up your LED bar. And today that's what I'm gonna do. Shall we? I left the solar panel here. And I was doing it wrong. You always have to plan it. I didn't do it, and that's why I have, that's why I have this obstruction on my way. So the thing is, I have to move the solar panel, and I have to put the LED bar. I might want to chop some trees, some branches. Yeah, I'll probably do it. And then we're gonna slam the LED bar, and that's not gonna take more than 2 hours. And that's what I can do today while it's still nice and sunny. We need to figure out what's happening on the bottom. Look from the inside. But the problem that I'm running into, let me show you. That's the little mount that I get with the LED bar, and I would really appreciate if it would be a little bit higher. So when I'm placing it, let's see if you can see it. When I'm putting it here, let's say, and here, it's literally gonna touch the middle of the roof when I want it to be sitting kind of freely. Because if it's gonna be literally sitting on the roof, not on the bracket, I will end up with a problem. That's not gonna be good. And I'm talking about the issue that if I'm not gonna put it somewhere where I can adjust it, I might have a LED bar that's gonna be just shooting the light too far away and not gonna be really brighten up what I need, the area that I need. That's what I'm dealing with. I'm just going back and forth, back and forth. Look, and the sun is almost went down. Oh, come on. That's like always you're saying it's gonna take me only 10 minutes. Then you realize, nope, it's not. Okay, I need to add some clear silicone, and I'm doing the bit all over the place, like 360, so it won't be leaking, even though I do have a rubber plate, washer, whatever you call it, underneath this foot, but I still want to add some bit of silicone. Better do it instead of having it leaking. So that's the first one. Now I'm gonna do the second one, and my personal recommendation, grab 2 of those, one in a big can and one something smaller. It's gonna be way easier to work on the tight spaces like this one, to go around the edges and cover it with silicone. At the same time, make sure you do your prep work, and I'm talking about some rubbing alcohol and just regular towel. So the connection will be somewhere here under this panel, because I have a long cable. That's more than I need right here. Just to be safe, I'm leaving a bit more. I know I'm probably gonna lose about a foot of this cable, but better do it this way than redo it again. All right, let's get it. Here's a quick tip. We are connecting to the main battery because we need maximum voltage, even like 14.5 volts, in order to avoid using like battery size wires. This is over 1300 watt LED bar. I'm using 12 gauge wires, so I'm pretty much cutting close in terms of the wiring. I don't want to go with the 10 gauge wire. It's gonna be overkill in my view. It's probably gonna be 20 foot between the battery and actual LED panel, but I want to test it out and see how it goes. I'm positive it should be fine, especially considering the size of the wires that they use, and they have 40 amp 14 volt 12 14 volt relay, 40 amp 12 14 volts. I think we should be fine, especially while the vehicle is going to be running, and that's very important. I'm connecting to this battery only because if I'm going to be using LED bar, the vehicle is going to be running, so that's not a concern, you know, in terms of like draining the battery. So, but here's a quick tip: whenever you connecting something, make sure when you use your wrench, cover it and use like a rubber glove or something that can be a temporary insulation for your wrench, because the last thing you want to touch the positive and put it right next to the metal. It's not gonna be a fun day. Make sure you do it. I just got the positive connected and I only have negative left right here. We're gonna connect it, hide it, close it, test it. Now we need to connect it. Start it. The car is getting power. This is not necessary for the negative to insulate it when you're working with this. This is not like absolutely necessary for the negative, but hey, here's your terminal. This is the battery cutoff switch, or whatever you call it, like a fuse. So if the car will detect the crash and you will have airbags deployed, this will cut off and the car will lose all the positive, all the power from the battery. It's better to stay safe and insulate your wrench with the glove or something. Then you would put both leads together. I can't stress enough that you have to be careful with that. You don't want to burn fuses in your Mercedes, because I mean, whenever you have electrical problem in the Mercedes, that's gonna be expensive. All right, we got the positive, negative, everything wired together. I have a remote, if I can call it a remote. And now, you want it or not, but I'm about to test it. I actually found the problem. See, it's very poorly built, and right there you have a connector that's kind of hanging there. When I'm moving it around, I get the power, and you can see the remote is showing the red light, but that's not gonna work. I don't want to have any positive wire to touch the frame of this battery case or something. I'm gonna reach out to the manufacturer and tell them, what the hell. Be careful about it, make sure to check it, because if they do such a poor connectors by the fuse right there, well, you gotta change it, you gotta fix it, you gotta replace it before you install it. Okay, so we know here's a problem, and I'm gonna reach out to the seller and see if they're willing to resolve the problem and send me the new cable. I would have to go through the same nightmare and do the wiring again, but I mean, I'd rather do it than I have all my fuses blown because of this and you can tell it's just gonna fall apart. So we need to replace it, we need to fix it. Now let's test it. So here I am with my flashlight, right? And you can't see anything. Let me show you when I'm turning my lights on. Lights on. And plus flashlight. Ready? I actually tested already and I know it's gonna be impressive. So are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Man, this is madness. I mean, look how bright it is. This is stupidly bright. Oh my, this is insane. I like it a lot. I don't like the thing that I would need to redo the wiring, but this is pretty cool. Again, this is my headlights on. This is my LED bar. Time is flying by and here we are. I have a new wiring harness. To be honest, they didn't do a better job with the new one. I replaced it, so I taped it, I put the zip tie here. I'll try to, you know, put a few zip ties, make sure it's not going to be moving, because the way that they've done this fuse is absolutely crap. Let's just put it this way. I got the replacement. It's a little bit better than the one that you can see hanging over there, but still, I mean, those guys would need to do something about those fuses and the way that, you know, the connector over there, because this is not the way it's supposed to be. But I'm pretty much done. All I have to do is just connect the negative, put a few zip ties, and finally I can close this part, and finally I can step on it and I can use it, so we can move on with other projects. It's me, Dennis from the future. Woo! Couple of things. First of all, Lake Tahoe is on fire. Yeah, you're gonna see that soon. What else? The Bitcoin is still skyrocketing and every day goes up and down. But I'm not gonna show you what's going on the back. I'm only gonna show you that I'm sitting on this fancy seat, and you're gonna see a lot of stuff in the future episodes. But for now, let me show you a couple of things that I feel is worth to mention, because I do remember it actually took too much of my time to fix this thing. Couple of things, and I want to point it out. That's why Dennis from the future here to save you from making the same mistakes. So I'm not gonna show you what's happening. I'll just walk out and make sure you're not gonna see what's inside. You're gonna see it in the future episodes. Even today we have like 75 degrees, I guess, something close to 70. But I mean, this corner is even too hot to touch it. I think you should keep that in mind, because any wires that you're gonna put on the roof, if they're not protected, well, sooner or later the insulation on the wires is just gonna go bad. You don't want that. I know this is a bit smaller, but I do prefer to use smaller heat shrinks on a bigger wire. It takes a bit more time to wiggle. Look, we've got the deck, we've got the solar panels, right? We've got the spotlights. This is for the rear, number one. Number two, this is a dash camera, and I have a long extension cord going all the way to the cable entry, same way as I have every single cable entering the roof. And I have 4 of those lights connected together, and then I have positive and negative cable to provide some power, and inside we're gonna have on-off switch. So few minutes later, here you have it. zip tie, zip tie, zip tie, zip tie, zip tie, zip tie, cable entry. First, over 100 degrees is hot. Second, give yourself a favor and just whenever you're gonna be doing solar, put those spotlights. Think about it. We were building the van and we're already thinking how to improve the van. So in order to do that, you gotta have some spotlights on the rear, two preferably, and one on each side. This way, whenever you're parking on some sketchy places, you can just flip the switch and see around the van. It's gonna make it so much easier to avoid stuff like, you know, smashing your roof against something, creating too much damage, because the spotlights is like 40 bucks, the wiring harness maybe 20, and you just need to buy a roll of wires, a couple of clamps, that's it. It's so much cheaper and easier than any insurance and any repair and having the downtime, because you're not always gonna see where you're going. So especially when you're using this large van and reversing somewhere. So give yourself a favor, make sure you put some spotlights. Second thing, I don't remember if I mentioned, but when you're gonna get the ladder here, please never ever walk on your roof in any type of shoes. The problem is all this dust, everything that's been forever on this roof, because obviously nobody washes the roof on the van. If you just start walking here, it's just gonna be so much harder to remove all the stains and all the footprints. You gotta make sure you're not gonna be walking in your shoes on the roof from the day one. It took so much time to wash this roof, so I'm Dennis from the future. I'd like to save you some time. I actually would like to save you a couple of hours of cleaning this roof. So learn from my mistakes and don't do it. Next, I'm gonna finish up the wiring here, and I'm not gonna tell you what's happening inside because we've done a lot. We're probably about 80 to 85% done with the van, and it feels like it's been a long year. Yeah, it took more than a year. And for now, Dennis from the future will just keep going. I'll see you in a bit. So I guess it's time to test it. All the wires done, everything is ready. I have a remote that we're gonna mount it into one of the walls. So, ready to flip the switch? 1, 2, 3, fire! Oh, it's working. I did not spend the day for nothing. Here's the light number 1. Let's take a walk around. Wow, here's the light number 2 and number 3. I know how to do wiring. Now I can officially say something that I'm good at. It's actually electrical and wiring. Because I was expecting anything like, you know, one light doesn't work out of 3, something like that, but it actually works, and it actually really bright, especially for the rear. When you have 2 lights on each corner, this is pretty cool. I'm sure it's gonna brighten up the rear quite well. And if I'm standing like 2 feet away from the van, see, it's actually brightening up me, which is why I actually decided to go back and put those lights, even though we were done with solar, with all the wiring, and I had to take apart the cable entry and do it again. But it's actually worth it. When you're standing up, this is still like 6 o'clock, it's still pretty bright, but those lights, well, if you feel unsafe and you flip the switch, they're gonna brighten up the faces and you might get away from some sort of a trouble. So I guess this is something that you have to consider, and the Dennis from the future is turning off the switch until the next week when we're gonna have the next episode. Make sure to subscribe because you're gonna miss it. I know you're not gonna get the notification if you don't ring the bell and if you don't subscribe. So you're gonna miss the next episode and you're probably never gonna build one of those. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and watch the newest videos every single week. And I'll see you then.